I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about my experience as a youth and what I went through. I am 24 years old now, but my struggles really started when I was very young. I was raised by my mom. She was a single mom. My dad left us when I was 2. My older brother was a major support system for me. He was my male role model. I'm sorry. And he was my best friend. I've struggled with depression and anxiety my entire life, though it really didn't become prevalent until my freshman year of high school. My brother left to go to college in Grand Rapids. And even though he's still around, this is still really hard. My whole life, thank you. My whole life fell apart. I found myself extremely lost, feeling very hopeless and extremely alone. My mom and my younger brother suffered from depression as well, and I didn't feel like I could really rely on my mom to be that support system for me. She was extremely emotionally unavailable to me. My younger brother is 8 years younger than I am, and to put that burden on him was not possible and unfair to him. I didn't feel I had anyone that I could turn to, and quite frankly, I didn't really imagine that anybody would understand anything that I was going through. So in November of my freshman year, I attempted suicide, and I ended up in an inpatient treatment center in St. John's. After a little over a week, I was put on an antidepressant and discharged. They said that I was fine, put me in an outpatient program where I went to therapy 4 times, and that was it. I was fine. That's all I needed. It became apparent to my family and my friends and my school that I was severely depressed and that I really hated who I was. The next few months, I received quite a bit of attention, though I still felt extremely alone. I had no one my own age who I could relate to how I felt, and I felt like an outcast. I made a decision to put on a happy face and to go about my life as nothing had ever happened. This led many people to believe that I was just fine. I was hurting inside more than ever, but I didn't want people to pretend to act concerned or interested when they had no idea what I was going through. I was able to keep up my one-woman act through the end of my sophomore year, and after that I turned to drugs and alcohol to cover up the pain I felt on a daily basis. My group of friends changed, and my focus turned to partying, getting high, and being drunk all day, every day. I started my junior year of high school an alcoholic and a cocaine addict. No one but the people I partied with noticed, for I made sure I kept my grade point average up and held down a part-time job. Without cocaine, I couldn't function, so no matter what I was doing, I made sure I had enough to get me through each day. In December of my junior year, I was caught drinking on school grounds. I was lucky, or maybe I wasn't, to only be slapped on the wrist and suspended for 2 weeks. I met a man shortly after at a party who dealt cocaine, and lucky for me, he gave me breaks on prices. A couple weeks later, he became my boyfriend, and for the next year, I endured severe emotional and physical abuse on a daily basis. Towards the end of my junior year, I was caught a second time consuming alcohol on school grounds. I was called into the principal's office so my principal could touch base with me, which was his famous line to say to all students. I was extremely defensive during our conversation, and as my hostility grew, I was backed into a corner, literally. I immediately froze inside and did only what I knew to do. I felt threatened, and I lashed out. I was later charged with an MIP and assault and was suspended from school for 2 months. I continued to drink, became sexually promiscuous, and increased the amount of cocaine I did. I also got into ecstasy, acid, heroin, Skittles, and crank. I was still dating the same guy, and life continued on as it had for the past year and a half. In October, my boyfriend was arrested for second-degree murder and was later sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison, which only led me to drink more and do more drugs. My senior year, I skipped school frequently and spent more time out of school than in. 2 months before graduation, I was told I was not going to graduate due to the number of absences I had accumulated. For the first time, I had a teacher take interest in me. She asked me what was going on, and after revealing my long high school story, she went to the principal to advocate for me. Because of that teacher, I was able to do community service to make up my missed absences, and I graduated on time with my class with a 3.8 GPA. The next fall, I attended Western Michigan University, but I was still doing drugs and drinking as much as I could. I failed the majority of my classes and dropped out a year later. I attempted to go to Lansing Community College and the University of Phoenix, but dropped out of them as well. So I made a decision to never go back to college. Drugs and alcohol ran my entire life, and to be honest, I really didn't care whether I lived or died. I was depressed and my self-esteem was at a zero. I felt hopeless. There are several other things that have happened to me in my life, which I won't elaborate on right now because I could talk to you for hours about it. All that I will say is that at this point, I have been sober for 3.5 years. I have put myself in therapy. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and put on medication called Lamictal. It, along with my therapy and being sober, has really saved my life. I have 9 months until I graduate with my bachelor's degree in social work from Spring Arbor University. I'm engaged to a wonderful man who treats me like a princess, and he will tell you I'm a spoiled brat. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm on the right track. To the parents in this audience, please do not give up. There is hope for your children. I promise you things will get better. Just keep pushing that system. If I could go back in time, there are 2 things I really wish I could change. 1, more support from my mom. She was financially unstable, and if she had have known where to go, or what to do, or to deal with her own depression, I can only imagine the focus she would have given me to help me with mine. The other thing that I would have really liked is to have been connected with people my age, with teenagers who dealt with the same issues that I did, so I didn't feel like I was the only one in the world like myself. I just wanted to be able to communicate with other people who could relate to me. If you take nothing else away from my story, please listen to this. Our educators need to be better informed as to what mental health challenges face our children every day. My mom, 2 of my aunts, 2 of my uncles, and my fiance work within the school system, so I know that a lot of pressure is put on teachers, and a lot of our teachers feel like they're not there to teach, but they're there to babysit, and I understand that. However, if we have more communication between our educators and between our parents, the lives of our children are going to be enhanced. It is important to remember to include the youth on these decisions as well. I believe it is absolutely necessary to require our educators to earn a specified number of continuing education credits in children's mental health in order to be better informed and trained. It is imperative our educators are learning the warning signs in order to help our youth early on. The earlier we catch it, the better chance youth have to learn coping skills and graduate from high school. Lastly, let's stop pushing medication on our youth. Medication alone is not going to help anything. Kids just want to be listened to. They need to be put into therapy, and they need to be connected with other kids who feel just like they do. I do not believe that I will ever fully be healed. I still wake up some days feeling like I don't want to get out of bed. I still let my anger get the best of me at times. Depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder will always be a part of my life. There are memories that come about that remind me of where I never want to be again, and I know I am not the same person I was 3.5 years ago. I wish someone had noticed my pain early on, and I wish I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder much sooner. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for me. I am here today to advocate for those who need mental health services for their children so those youth don't have to struggle as long as I did. My story is only the tip of the iceberg. There are youth who struggle far more than I ever have. Please don't give up on our children because we don't plan to. Thank you.